G'day, Jim Hart here. This video is going to be a response to a comment, somebody with BPD who's actually a subscriber to my channel. And yeah, I just want to say, I think I need a new caveat for every video, that when I speak about borderline personality disorder, when I speak about people with borderline personality disorder, I'm not speaking about any one person. I'm not speaking about all people with BPD. So if you have BPD and you watch this video, you need to consider your own circumstances and your own life, what kind of treatment you've had, or if you're untreated or not. That's up to every individual out there. What I'm speaking about in these videos is broad and largely generalized and not intended for, to be describing anybody's personal situation with BPD whatsoever. So with that then, if you have BPD and you watch my videos, I'm not anti people with BPD. I'm not trying to in any way have any intent of increasing stigma. But I am here to serve people with BPD if they can see their way through what I do talk about. I'm here to serve people who've been hurt by people with BPD. And when I do videos and when I use that language, if you're not somebody with BPD who's hurting somebody, then, I'm not referencing you anyway, and not everybody with BPD is hurting somebody. So that's the caveat, and that's the best I can do. So this comment says, wait a second, it was posted on my video, I forget which one now. When borderline tells you who she or he is, stop, it's time to go, which is an older one now, some couple years or so. But this person said, okay, just a second, I have to get it up here. Yeah, okay. They said, wait, don't you claim you, quote, had, unquote, BPD? Seems to be a very contentious issue for some people with BPD out there in general. And I've had many other comments to the channel recently, as sometimes there are a spate of comments or a grouping of comments that come periodically from people with BPD, who I guess essentially and ostensibly and for the most part don't like what I talk about here, which is their right. But I still have the right to talk about what I want to talk about. And again, I stress, I'm not talking about or referring to any individual with BPD. Okay, so I'll start the comment again. Quote, wait, don't you claim you, quote, had BPD, had, unquote, BPD, question mark. So how is it that you're, quote, healed, unquote, or, quote, cured, unquote, but everybody else with BPD is very, the word is not discernible, somebody or something, or I don't know what the word is, that people should run from. Okay, well, first of all, end quote, let me just say, yes, I had BPD, okay? So other people have healed from BPD. People with BPD aren't all the same. People with BPD are in various stages of their own recovery journey all over the world, I'm sure. I don't know about them all. So, but again, I've spoken to this before, the pseudoscience of psychiatry, the pathologizing of what BPD is, versus the response to adverse childhood experience, but that does not mean people with BPD are not responsible for their behavior, etc. So the idea that psychiatry says that you can't be cured and that you need a cure, that somehow psychiatry is supposedly going to come up with one day, is just not very valid, and it's pseudoscience. So there are many professionals now recognizing, many journal articles being written and things being written all over the place and in books by professionals that establish that more and more professionals are, as I believe, coming to the conclusion that BPD is a response to adverse childhood experience. It is about attachment, interrupted attachment, adverse attachment experience, and many other things in early childhood. So the idea that one can't be healed from BPD, I'm not the only one. I'm just somebody out here who's telling the truth about my own life. Many people with BPD don't agree. Many people with BPD have all their own views of what that's about. So that's fine. You know, what else can I say? Healing and recovery is possible. And I would say unlikely to be possible with most psychiatrists, but possible with all kinds of other mental health professionals. And then they said something about, but you never talk about how you actually recovered, so how can we know that you actually recovered? Well, I have made mention of it here and there, and I might get the autobiography done. But again, I just want to make it clear here that for people with BPD, like this commenter, if you don't like what I'm talking about, you don't have to watch the channel. I'm going to be doing a lot more explaining of things about BPD for loved ones. And I would argue that a lot of my videos, maybe not all, are very BPD friendly, even when I'm talking about the issues within BPD. People with BPD, if they chose to, could possibly gain some insight or information that might help them upon self-reflection or talking it over in therapy, or just, you know, it's important people with BPD get into treatment. So I'm not going to be here defending myself toward anybody or this commenter with BPD who suggests that, oh, I'm so borderline, etc., etc., okay? These people are not in my life. They don't know me. It's rather old, and I'm just not going to be, yeah, this is my last response to it. We definitely hope. So anyway, I don't say that everybody else with BPD on the planet should be run away from. That's not what I'm saying at all. There are lots of people, again, I'm not saying everybody with BPD is the same, and BPD is just a label which indicates issues in people's lives, which I don't think is a very good label or positive thing. And I think people don't always have to adhere to the label to be able to, you know, be in treatment or have had treatment and continue to find their way forward in their own lives. And then it says, the commenter says, you have double standards, and in addition to, are now offering recommendations and therapy on how not to deal with BPDs. In other words, this person's perspective is that I have double standards. Okay, first of all, I don't think so. I've done videos for people with BPD in the past. I don't do as many now, but there's lots of people out there who have BPD talking to people with BPD. There are lots of other sources of information, obviously. I may do videos more aimed at people with BPD. Some people with BPD welcome that. Lots don't. So then the person said, I have this double standard because in addition to, whatever they're saying, I don't know what it's in addition to, you're now offering recommendations and therapy on how not to deal with BPDs. No, that's not really what I'm doing at all. This is where the, you know, people with BPD, and I'm not saying everyone's the same, and people have been hurt by someone in their life with BPD. So borderline versus non-borderline, for lack of better language, this is where one camp, or, you know, people with BPD, and I don't mean to lump everybody, but they're all over on one side of a bridge, and the non-borderlines, or the people that have been hurt or that relationships aren't working out for, they're on the other side of the bridge. And this person thinks that I have double standards. No, I don't. I think that people with BPD can get treatment and can go on their own recovery journeys and heal. And I think lots of people don't choose that with BPD. But again, if you're somebody with BPD who's chosen it, then I'm not talking to you, right? It's not about anybody in particular. So when I'm talking to loved ones, exes, people that have been hurt, or, you know, in any family relation with BPD, that is the other side. That is the side that many people with BPD don't understand or have a lot of trouble with. So it's not saying anything about every single person with BPD, but there's a whole, people with BPD are hurting, people with BPD are going through a lot. It's not their fault they have BPD, but they need to take personal responsibility in adulthood. And I'm sure many are, and I'm sure many aren't, and I don't know who's who, nor am I trying to speak to anybody in particular. Let me stress that. So the second thing would be to say that I have double standards. Well, that's your perspective, commenter, and it might be other people's perspectives with BPD, but it doesn't mean that it's actually logical, because I care both about people with BPD and people who've been hurt by people with BPD. So it's the middle of impossibility in that regard. So I'm not offering recommendations to people to how not to deal with people with borderline personality. So again, not all people with borderline personality are in the same place, but for the people we hear mostly about, and my videos address mostly, people with BPD that are really actively hurting others and impacting them negatively and may not be aware of it. So it's not a double standard. I'm not telling people to run away. I provide information for people's understanding. I do not tell people what to do at all. So if you're somebody with BPD and you don't want to get any treatment, that's your business. I'm not telling you to do it. I'm just suggesting it might be a good thing. But so, and for loved ones and any relationship type with somebody with BPD, the message isn't run away. I speak to the reality of the issues and difficulties within borderline personality that mean that relationships can't be healthy until people get into enough treatment and therapy to be able to relate differently. And so these are just facts. And it's not a double standard, and it's not me being, with one side versus the other side, but whatever the perception is, you're entitled to that. And so then you said, the commenter said, recommendations, that's a tad contradicting, isn't it? No, it isn't, because I would suggest that a lot of people with BPD, I don't know if this commenter is somebody, think in dichotomous ways, black and white thinking. Like if one thing is happening, therefore the other must be true. That's not true. That's not logical. So it's not contradicting at all that I work with clients with BPD and that I work with clients who've been hurt by somebody with BPD. They're wholly different people, and it is two sides of the same issue. And it's been well established that there are two sides to this issue. People with BPD and what their challenges are, and people who tried to love or have a family member or whatever with BPD where it's not working out well. That doesn't happen for everybody with BPD or every non-borderline in any relationship type to somebody with BPD, but it happens to, I don't know what the numbers are, but a tremendous amount of people that are online writing all over the place about their exes or a parent or, that they've been really hurt by people with BPD. So both things are true. There's no contradiction there. And then they said, instead, why aren't you suggesting to people who love people with BPD how to get their own therapy and learn how to maneuver through the relationship as healthy level as possible? Well, with all due respect, Stephanie70, and your comment, this is the lens and the perspective of people with BPD. Why can't these people that we love, that we might be hurting, why can't they just go to therapy and figure us out better or validate us more? Keep taking all the things that many, not all, with BPD are doing to people in relationships, how they're impacting them negatively, how they're hurting them tremendously, may not be aware of it, but still responsible for it. So, no, I mean, there are programs out there for loved ones, and people know about them, and in different relationship types, like if a mother has an adult child with BPD, in the 25% largely, There are programs out there that teach loved ones of someone with BPD DBT skills for them to use, validation techniques, and other things, which I've worked with clients on some of those things as well. I have clients who are non-borderlines who come to me who want to try to still make relationships work. I support them with that. I try to help them with that. So I'm not telling people to run. I don't tell people what to do. The information I provide on this channel, that is to help those who've been hurt by somebody with BPD, but not only that, but to explain more about the ins and outs and nuances of BPD and what the difficulties are. We're going to have a lot more videos coming on that, by the way. Also talk about how many people who are the non-borderline, or the loved one or the partner or the ex or what have you, often have codependency and they have their own issues and they're not the same as BPD. And these are difficult interplay dynamics of relationships that aren't healthy. And so are they just not healthy because of the person with BPD? Well, that's where a lot of things kind of begin and the roadblocks come from, that side of the fence. But then people with codependency and non-borderlines have responsibility too. Many of them take that responsibility though. Many with BPD don't. Many with BPD do. But these relationships that are not working out and are not healthy, that has nothing to do with me. I just help people around that and provide information about BPD. For often, lots of my videos, are about the way things can work and the way people with BPD can react and the dynamics. And I'm going to have lots more coming that explains BPD. That is, I'll make sure to source it more. I'll make sure to quote sources so it's not just a bias or a prejudice on my part. But there isn't a way I try when I work with clients, if they're still wanting to be in the relationship and trying to work it through some more, absolutely I support that. And I work with people on that. I don't do videos particularly on that because I've found in 30 years worth of working with clients and all the experience I do have in this area, that it's very rare when relationships work out. So with clients come to me wanting to work it out, I do the best I can to help them to do that. But there just isn't a very high success rate with that. So I'm not here to, maybe there are other channels that have that kind of goal or purpose. Mine is not to recommend to people. I give a lot of information. People can do what they want with it, right? They can listen to it, maybe learn from it, maybe try harder in a relationship. But people who are non-borderlines can't take responsibility for helping people with BPD to get well. It just doesn't work that way. And I think this is part of a larger BPD narrative online in general, not aimed at anyone or the commenter here. But it's this, and it's forwarded by organizations and things too. That, if you Google, how can I help the person in my life with BPD? How can you help a borderline? I've seen that pop up. And there are ideas and recommendations, which of course I will use and talk to clients about who still want to try to work relationships out. I don't just say in any video or any work with clients, oh, just run. Not my place to say that. But the thing is that people who are around somebody with BPD can only do so much. And when a person with BPD, any person, if they haven't sought treatment yet, that really is impacting. And if they don't have enough awareness of their effect on others at times, that's really impacting too. So the responsibility for BPD recovery lies with people with BPD to get into treatment and to take that healing and recovery journey, because it's very possible to do. So I'm not here to be against people with BPD, and I'm not just for, loved ones, exes, etc. I talk about BPD in the middle as well, which people with BPD often, many, I'm not saying all, don't appreciate or don't understand for some reason. They just think everything I say is anti the person with BPD. And then they tend to take it personally. Like maybe you've taken this personally, Stephanie70. I don't know. But the thing is, obviously, people with BPD leave a lot of comments on my channel from time to time. It's not always happening. And they don't like what I do and they don't like what I say, and they probably don't even like me. But I'm going to do the work that I've always been doing, and I'm going to continue to do that work. And so if people with BPD can't appreciate that, don't understand it, then for some people with BPD, this isn't the channel for you. For other people with BPD, they come, they learn, they become clients of mine, and I help them greatly. So there's narratives out there. There's kind of like this idea of two sides, right? People with BPD and the non-borderlines. Well, I'm just one YouTuber doing what it is I do and providing the information that I do provide. But I'm not here to tell anybody what to do in their life, what to do with their life, whether they have BPD or whether there's somebody who's got a person with BPD in their life, in any relationship type. I provide information about BPD that's accurate, like about attachment difficulties, about, quote, love, unquote, and the unhealthy nature of a lot of these relationships and why that is. And I hope, and what my intention is, to be more explanatory of that, not judgmental about that. So that's just a little bit about, response to a commenter here. There's been many others, but they've been less respectful and or worse. So I'm not going to address them. I'm not going to keep addressing this issue anymore, or at least I hope I don't have to. But, some people with BPD out there really don't like what I do. And there's a lot of pushback. And there's nothing I can do about that. All I can say is what I said at the beginning as a caveat, and that people need to watch videos that resonate with them. And if my videos, they do resonate with some people with BPD, but they don't resonate with a lot of people with BPD. So I think that, I'm not going to change anything I'm doing. And so what people with BPD, if you're mad or you don't like me or you don't like what I'm saying, then the healthiest thing for you to do, and you don't have to, I'm just suggesting, is not watch the channel. Find a channel where you relate better or relate more to the message or to the YouTuber. It's your choice. So I'm not here to say everything is supposed to be one way or the other for people with BPD or for loved ones. And when I work with clients, as many could attest to, but many don't want to be public about their work with me because understandably they want their privacy protected. So, but when I work with clients, I never tell them what to do, and I've been speaking to clients recently who have sort of an ex or a person that they're not exactly, they're taking a break from the relationship, the person with BPD is, and they're not sure what's going on, and they love the person with BPD very much, and they're trying to work it out. I support that 100%. It often doesn't work out, but I had a client put to me recently, he said, well, I just asked, where are you at with this? Do you have hope that you can still work it out? Are you interested in still working it out or what? And the client said, yeah, I want to try one more time. And I've done many videos on how that usually doesn't work out. That's not to say 100% of the time. I can't know that. But so my first response back to that client was, okay, fine, I understand. And how can I help you? And what do you need to know? And how can we build strategy around how you're going to try to get back in touch with this person and how you're going to try again? I didn't say to him, run. It's not the way it goes. So a lot of people with BPD have a lot, as this commenter and other comments is all I'm referring to that I have received that I'm not going to be speaking about. It continues to be this narrative from not all people by any means with BPD, but some, that I'm just out to get them, out to trash them, and then they take it personally. And it's not personal, it's not directed at any individual with BPD whatsoever, and I'm going to continue on with the work that I do, because there are people with, there's a lot of explaining in videos I do that either somebody with BPD could listen to, or loved ones or non-borderlines could listen to. And then there are some videos that, yeah, they're more to help people with BPD, to help people who've been with somebody with BPD. Doesn't mean they've been with everybody or that everybody with BPD is the same. So I try to do my best with the utmost of respect. And maybe, I can't control how people on either side of the fence feel, but I can't control how people with BPD are going to perceive what I say or perceive myself. And everybody has a right to their opinion. So short of that, I respect your comment and your questions, and I believe I understand your viewpoint. I don't agree with it. I don't think that's what I'm doing here. I don't think that's what this channel is about. But I respect it. Maybe that's the way you see it. So I would just suggest for you, Stephanie70, that you need to be taking care of yourself in your life, and or getting the treatment you may or may not need now. I don't know. And you need to think and be more aware of how are you affecting a loved one in your life. If you are, what are they saying to you? How is the dynamic going? This is a type of thing that people with BPD have to learn how to do, not because I said so, but because if the relationships aren't working out, people with codependency and or non-borderlines or partners or whatever relationship type can't change, fix, or rescue people with BPD. That's not a statement made against people with BPD. It's a statement about how people with BPD need to take personal responsibility. Maybe many people are, but maybe they still have some issues that would help them to be able to address in therapy to better relate to others. But again, I'm just speaking broadly here and in response to this comment. So my channel and myself remains under fire with people with BPD or BPD sympathizers, and I'm not unsympathetic or I'm not dispassionate against people with BPD at all. So I can only do the best that I can do, and what people think or how people perceive what I'm doing, that's up to you. I don't have control over that. So hope that makes sense. And this has been something that's been going on since I started this channel. I've been online since 1995. I've done blogs for people with BPD. I've done blogs for loved ones. I'm going to have more coming at ajmahari.co, ajmaharicoaching.com. There are obviously people, and I'm not attributing it to this commenter, but I've had maybe like 15 comments in the last 4 or 5 days, a week or so, from people with BPD who all say they have BPD, so I'm not guessing or diagnosing them, that it's pretty clear to me that they would like me to shut up and go away. Isn't going to happen anytime soon. Is not going to happen. So, just as other YouTubers have taken a lot of heat from people with BPD because of the information we are disseminating, that is not personal to anybody with BPD. Other YouTubers do what they do, and people with BPD got to realize that it's overreaching to expect everybody else to somehow see it all your way. In general, that's an in general all your way, not to the commenter, not to anybody specifically. So, yeah, there are other YouTubers out there, by the way, that vilify people with BPD. I'm not here to do that. And so if you have BPD and you feel vilified by something, I would suggest you need to look at that yourself, because I'm not here to do that. Though many comments I received recently are suggesting that's what I'm doing, or that somehow whatever I've said in general is specific to any individual, or is somehow going to be from a video I do, you could take away and figure out I'm in quotes, talking about somebody in particular. It's not the case, and people with BPD do have a propensity to take things highly personally. So, and yet they continue to watch the channel. So there's really nothing I can do about that. And yeah, I guess that's about all I can say. So I would consider doing more videos for people with BPD, but they're not well watched, so I don't know if there's a demand for me to do that. And the videos I am making, I'm often caveating and saying not all people with BPD are alike, etc. I do the best I can to be respectful within the information I'm often providing about BPD, about understanding BPD. That might be more towards loved ones, but it's right there for people with BPD too. If they can see it for what it is versus taking it personally, or like this commenter, thinking it's a big contradiction, or I'm all on one side versus the other side. So I'm doing the best I can, as I've said before, in the middle of seeming impossibility. And nobody can please all the people all of the time anyway. So I'm going to just continue with the work I do, what my mission is. And many people find that helpful. And some people with BPD find that helpful. And some people with BPD really don't like it. There's not much else I can say about it. So take care.